I think one day I asked him if he remembered the bullet that he brought to school. And I think he mentioned that he did remember it. And I brought it back to him. And he basically just hugged me and started crying.
I'm ready for the change. Oh yeah, come lead the way to your holy place, where I know my heart will be laid bare before you. Oh Father, you see through all my insecurities that prove my lack of faith towards you. Oh Father, do what you please. I want nothing but your spirit and truth. Oh yeah, you're all I need.
Well,
Welcome,
hey, everybody.
I believe nothing.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Andrew.
I'm Andrew.
Andrew, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Andrew Hubbard. I am friends with... Do you guys...
We don't
reveal-
say our location normally.
Okay.
But it's
Don't
okay.
I
matter.
don't know if you do. Okay.
I have the editor.
Friends
tool.
with the... And we fellowship together on Shabbats. And I don't know, we're still pretty... I'm new to this YouTube stuff, so I can't
We
say
are
I know
too.
exactly what to do and say all the time.
It's definitely can be challenging to get used to being on the screen. We struggle with it as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do.
But you're doing good.
Oh, yeah.
You got over the nerves of introducing yourself,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
You got a lot more to say, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yep,
Andrew's
so-
here to share his testimony. We're in the testimony series. We're still doing that. We haven't been around in a little while because we had some personal things going on with our home. Some things happened with our house, and so we've had to kind of put the videos on hold briefly. But
Yeah, that's
we're
been the
back
first
in
one.
action.
First
So we're
one in a
gonna,
while.
we're gonna come back with the testimony, come back strong, and then we'll finish up some of our other video series as well. So we're excited to have Andrew here with us, and he's gonna tell us his story. Is there anything else you want to add to that before
No, this sounds perfect.
Andrew?
I don't know
Are
if
you
strong
ready?
is necessarily the word.
Oh, it's
but,
gonna be strong.
I mean, it's
Anything
We have
comes from
faith.
It's a
Andrew's
story.
strong, Yeah.
It's a story. I love it.
But-
All right.
all right. Well, I guess if we dive right into it. No, I'm Andrew Hubbard. I have a wife and 4 kids now.
Do you work in a button factory?
No, I don't. I don't work in a
Sorry.
button factory.
What does
I
that
work.
even mean?
I
Hi,
work for the
my name is
FAA
Joe.
at the airport. So,
Sorry.
but
You work at the FAA.
yep.
Sorry, go ahead.
So, I guess I'll just jump right into testimony. I don't really have much more to say about that. But anyways, I was born in Louisiana, in Pineville, Louisiana, on Pearl Harbor Day in 1988.
Oh, wow.
Not the
Wow.
Pearl Harbor Day, just December 7th in 1988. So Pineville, Louisiana, and central Louisiana. And then in 89, when I was just a few months old, we moved up to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, very northern part of Idaho. So, I don't remember it, but it was definitely different. So, as far as I remember, I had a good childhood. I didn't really have any complaints. But I was also a child, so even the things that I look back on as seeing where we lived and how we lived and stuff, I can see how poor we were at the time.
Okay.
But at that time, it wasn't anything to me. It was, I was able to run outside, play outside, just like most of us 90s kids did all
Yeah.
the time.
Speak for
So-
yourself.
Amen.
Like I
Hallelujah.
said, most of us 90s kids did.
Good.
But yeah, so we were in the place that I remember the most at the youngest age that I can remember was basically tucked into a small valley in the middle of the mountains in northern Idaho, a place called Pine Creek, Idaho. So I think Kellogg, Idaho is a little bit more famous. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like 30 minutes away from us. So we were tucked in the
Wow.
mountain and everything, and literally the mountainside in our backyard and stuff. So we, so I
That
was,
sounds great.
it was, I will say, for growing up as a young boy, it was amazing because we went outside all the time. We
Yeah.
rode bikes up and down the road. You know, it was not a neighborhood. It was pretty spread out, but there was enough for us to do and just play in the creek. It was called Pine Creek because there was a creek running through it, and it was glacier runoff.
Oh,
And
Wow.
so it was cold even in the middle of the summer.
that's
Great.
fantastic.
Even better.
Yeah. So me and my brother were always trout fishing every now and then, and my dad was always bringing us fishing, and so very fond times that I are my main memories growing up, especially in Idaho. So I have a very soft spot in my heart for northern Idaho.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I
Siblings?
have one brother and two sisters. So I'm the middle child. I'm one of the middle children. So I have an older brother, older sister, then me, and then my younger sister.
Oh,
And
boy,
so-
girl, boy, girl.
Yep. Yep. The
Perfect.
very opposite of my children, which is girl, boy, girl, boy. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And so it's
You
like a
flipped the
generational.
coin.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
generational thing though on the Hubbard side because my dad, him and his siblings are the same way. It's
Oh, as
boy,
your
girl,
children.
boy, girl.
Okay.
So,
It went and then went. And
yeah.
then, okay.
so just carrying on the tradition.
That's great. That's something to be proud of, though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Lots
we'll
of
see.
babies.
Yep.
We'll see what his boys have, you know. See
Yeah.
what the next one is.
But yeah, so as far as I can remember, well, the main reason we moved there was for a church.
Okay.
So at that time in my parents' life, they wanted to move up there because the church up there had a program of some sort that would literally just moved us up there for that.
Wow.
And then we made that home for the first 12 years of my life. So everything I remember was growing up in church. We did move around churches all the time. And so I basically was always going to a church at one time or another. And then in the mid 90s, I remember there was a big movement for home groups in churches and everything. So I remember going through that. Some friends' houses going to all the time for church home groups and study groups and stuff. So pretty much as long as I can remember, I don't remember ever going hungry, never really, but we never really had a lot. Looking back in Pine Creek, we lived in a very small house in a very dilapidated type of house, but my memories are usually more fond of the area and everything. And then we moved to a town. I think we eventually got housing assistance and moved to a nearby town called Rathdrum, closer to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And we moved there, was walking or biking distance from school.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was a very small town, and we went to school every day, didn't have to ride the bus, just walked or rode our bikes. Had a neighborhood that we lived in, had friends in the neighborhood, friends in the neighborhoods down the street, and everything is honestly kind of very picturesque kind of growing up of the 90s. It's just like being able to be out and about. Parents just tell you to come home when the light,
Come home at dark.
the street lights come
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
or before the sun goes down, kind of stuff. And
That's
so
awesome.
outside a lot. And
This is still in the first 12 years?
oh yeah, this is still when we're in Idaho. First 12 years from 89 to 2000 when we were in Idaho.
wow.
And
Okay.
so it
So
was
it's like high school.
not quite high
Almost.
school.
8th grade.
I came back in 6th grade.
Oh, okay.
So
I forget how much of a baby you are compared to me. Never mind.
We're old, Andrew.
not that old. I mean, you don't even really have gray in your beard yet.
I have an unstressed life.
I graduated when you were like in 6th grade. So
Well, hey, so did my brother.
well,
Older brother. But
yeah,
so
But you were in the country life initially?
kind of, yeah.
And
then more of a small town life, I guess.
Okay.
We were definitely in town and everything. Just to me, I had very fond memories of pretty much everything. I do remember that had strict parents.
Sure.
Not extremely strict, but I mean, I was scared of upsetting my dad or something like that, to be either get a spanking or
Sure.
tongue lashing or yelling at or grounded, at a certain point. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, I really don't have very many bad memories as a kid, especially in that first 12 years in Idaho. So in 2000, our family and my grandparents, who lived in Montana at the time, decided to move back to Louisiana, which was where they were from, where some of our family was from on my dad's side. And he wanted to come back because didn't really have any more reason to be up there at the time. And my grandpa, his dad, was starting to get worse in his older years with his health and everything. So we thought that maybe we didn't have too much time left, maybe. So my dad and mom decided to move us back to Louisiana, central Louisiana, in Pineville again. And
You've never been to Louisiana at this point.
No, I had
not
been.
memory-wise.
Yeah, I had been. So in the summers, my grandpa, my dad's dad, Papa, he would actually fly us down for the summer,
okay.
for most of the
visiting.
summer.
So you were familiar.
Or my Nana, my dad's mom, would come up there with his stepdad.
Nana. Love it.
Yeah, so my dad's mom is Nana. Her husband, my dad's stepdad, is Paul Ron.
Okay.
And then my dad's dad is Papa. And so
What are we going to be?
We'll find
but
out.
we and then my grandma and grandpa on my mom's side were living in Libby, Montana,
Okay.
up there. So we got to see them more often. But
They were closer.
yeah. And so my Nana and Papa lived in Louisiana still. And when my brother and sister were old enough, they would fly down to Louisiana and visit for the summer and then come back. When me and my little sister got old enough, the first couple of years, they would come pick us up somehow, or my parents would drive us down. And so one year, my Nana and Papa Ron came up there, picked us up, and then we drove back through North and South Dakota, saw Mount Rushmore, came down through Missouri, and so
So you've been sightseeing.
yeah, oh yeah,
Okay. You've
I
had
have
some
a map.
adventures.
Yeah, throughout my years, I've been almost to every state. So
That's awesome.
but yeah, so like I said, continued fond memories. Still growing up in church, and I remember when I was visiting one summer with me, my little sister, and my younger cousin, in when we were staying the night at their house, and we were all supposed to be going to sleep. We were just sitting there talking, and my cousin and her family, they were very strict. They were same as us, grew up in church and everything. They were just more strict than our family was, as far as, what kind of TV and shows they watched, what, kind of stuff like that. And I remember first time, not that I hadn't really thought about it before, but the first time I said the Lord's Prayer or asked Jesus into my heart, and at that time was oh my goodness, I was probably in 4th grade or so, I think.
Wow.
And my cousin, we were just talking about Jesus, and my cousin was talking about how good he is and everything. And have you asked him into your heart yet? and, so, and she led me in the prayer and everything, and I was like, okay, all right. So yeah,
Let's
so
do this.
yeah,
Let's
so
do it
honestly,
tonight.
didn't
At least
really
yours
have.
wasn't out of a fear factor. You said she was like, "Oh, he loves me."
Oh yeah,
You know, most
yeah, that's
4th
true.
graders that I knew growing up in church were like, "I don't want to go to hell."
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, that's
Sure,
true.
that was the
So,
card that was played in the Southern Baptist
Yeah,
Church.
and it was.
Yeah.
So I guess it wasn't so much in the churches that I've been in. I mean, we obviously heard that sometimes, but
Oh, yeah,
it wasn't, I guess, as much fear trying to instill
Hellfire and
fear
brimstone.
into people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I mean, like I said, the growing up part in northern Idaho was some very fond memories, and then we moved to Louisiana. We drove down. On our way down, we went through Glacier National Park, stopped in Colorado for a while to visit some friends, and kind of made a week or so out of it.
Long day.
Oh yeah, very long drive.
You were
With trailer.
12, 13?
I think I was 12. Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, so in 2000, we moved down here, and I started living in Louisiana, central Louisiana in Pineville. We started going to the churches that my parents used to go to before we moved to Idaho.
So they still had
family
connections.
friends. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
still had family friends and everything. In fact, my brother is married to one of their daughters and
Oh
everything.
wow.
So
So deep connection.
yeah, oh yeah. So
A little
they,
courting going on. You know?
I mean,
Little
I didn't know it
pre-planning.
at the time, but
Dad's like, all right, we're moving back to
Yeah.
Louisiana.
And this is what's going
why.
to
yeah. And so started going to churches that they used to go to, that they knew family friends went to, and so that's when I was introduced to the charismatic churches. So the first church we went to, Church on the Rock in Pineville, Louisiana.
Church on the Rock.
Yep, and they were a full gospel church, and so that was kind of went from there. So most of our churches has been fairly charismatic after that,
Yeah.
and
I remember you talking about that.
but even in Idaho, we moved from place to place, and we moved from church to church.
How
Quite
many
a
would
bit.
you say in like the 12 years?
Yeah, even
Like, how
in the
many?
12 years, we moved around in Idaho. From what I can remember, in those 12 years when we were in Idaho, we moved houses 5 times that I remember being
Wow.
in. And then more than that of churches and home groups and stuff like that. So
How did that affect you, like having to go back and forth between
I
all
didn't
these
really-
groups?
it didn't really dawn on me until later in life.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
so
Well, it just seems
at the
kinda hard to
time,
get
it didn't really
roots.
affect me at all.
You didn't think about it.
No,
Like you didn't have a friend here that maybe you're
Not
close to.
No, not really. Like, because from what I remember, I don't remember most of my friends being friends from church. Most
Okay.
most of my best friends were ones I grew up with in the town or
Okay.
who lived
Like
near
neighbors.
me. Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly.
I gotcha.
So
Okay.
there weren't very
That's fair.
many people in church that were friends until we moved to Louisiana. I was
Okay.
older. I got involved in youth group
Yeah.
and started getting to know friends through youth group, and that's basically the time that I started becoming better friends and having better friendships in church instead of necessarily neighbors and everything.
Were you learning the Bible along the way? Had you already had?
Yeah, I
core-
mean, we kind of. It wasn't necessarily a lot of learning scriptures and stuff like that. It was the typical do what the pastor says, listen to what he's teaching you kind of thing. And
That's fair.
at that age, I wasn't really too worried about it either. That's not necessarily what my focus was at the time. No. So
know the feeling.
even though it was a big part of my life, it wasn't one of those where, okay, I'm gonna sit and try to study the Bible, on my own very much. I was trying to be out and about, being at that time becoming a teenager and everything.
Sure.
So
You got girls, you got
yeah,
things popping up.
girls, schools, drama, whatever, stuff that comes along with that. So
We'll quit interrupting you now. Sorry. Go back to your story.
okay.
We're just
I
curious.
just want to draw on a few of those details,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I've
Yeah.
never asked you these questions, so I don't know.
But yeah, so I mean, coming into Louisiana, didn't know too much of what to expect. I was a pretty average student in school. But I remember going to a couple of churches that my parents used to go to, meeting some of their friends and that they knew, and introducing us to that they've known since the 70s and 80s kind of
Wow.
stuff. So
yeah.
it was, and then in 2003, from Central Louisiana, we moved into the house where my papa lived. So we moved in with him. And I think that was for financial reasons. And it was a very small town, like less than 1,000 people kind of thing.
My
Didn't
kind of
even
place.
have a traffic light, only a laundromat in a high school kind of thing. And so
Perfect.
it was out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere. So it was a big change for me. Because once I got there, I had no friends. We had family nearby. That's where my aunts lived, and my papa lived. So we had been to his house many times and were familiar. But it was a little bit different living with him, obviously.
Sure.
So more got to know him a lot more during
sure.
that time.
Yeah.
So but I played baseball since I was in kindergarten, so I continued to play baseball while I was there and into high school. And so that's probably the only way I was involved in school, other than at that time I was a straight A student, had a 4.0 and everything.
Wow.
But it was, to me, also a very easy curriculum.
High five, nerd.
At that school.
I love it.
Didn't last throughout my all the way to graduation.
Me either.
But for the 2 years that we were there,
Yep.
I had that, and so I was considered the smart kid at school and everything.
Must
but
be
I
nice.
was, yeah. Well, I was still. The thing is, I feel like I was considered the smart kid because I had 4.0, like 100% GPA kind of thing, but I was still it was a small enough school where I was still very popular, I think, with a lot of the groups of people, the cliques and everything, as small as it was. So
Sounds like mine.
including baseball, playing baseball. So
He's smart and he's an athlete.
Yeah, and he's popular.
Yeah.
at that time and at that school.
I moved away and things
Yeah.
changed.
So we lived with him, and kind of fell away from old friends, so didn't really see him much. Had one main friend, my friend Adam, who was my best friend at the time from one of the churches we used to go to, and saw him more often than any of my other friends, so we didn't fall out too bad at that time, because there was a church camp we'd go to together every year and whatnot. So, but it was kind of a lonely time, just not much to do.
And how old were you at this time?
That time, that was that was 8th and 9th grade.
Okay.
So that was, the school was all pre-K through 12.
Wow.
So pre-kindergarten
So
through 12.
everybody already knew each
everybody
other
in the
and-
same school, in the same building and everything. It was that
feel
small
it.
of a town. And so that was pretty much it. It was just not much going on in that town at the time and whatnot. But eventually, the summer going into between my 9th and 10th grade year, moved back to Pineville in 2005, and kind of reunited with old friends, but mostly reunited with old school friends. So friends in school, some of my best friends in school that I hadn't seen in forever.
Since like 6th grade,
Since
right?
since 7th grade,
7th grade,
really.
okay.
So 6th grade.
So it's been like 3.5,
At that
4
time,
years.
at that time in Louisiana, it was very weird for sixth grade, because I think that was one of the last years they did something called sixth grade centers. It was literally a school for just the sixth grade. It was
Okay.
so weird.
So like
What-
here they pull out all the ninth graders from all the surrounding cities and
Yeah,
put them in one school for 1 year.
Yeah, I
it's
guess,
weird.
but
Oh
it
yeah,
was,
the freshman academy or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's
Oh,
weird.
okay.
Yeah. They do that
yeah, I
here.
guess it was similar to that. It was just sixth grade.
It's weird to do it
And
for
it
sixth
was.
graders, though. They're a little
So-
young for that.
Well,
Yeah.
I was in the transition year for me.
It is kind of a transition year though. So in seventh and eighth grade was middle school, and then 9
Yeah.
through 12 was high school. So
Well,
in coming back,
Welcome to the South, honey.
yeah. So
Yeah.
my friends
strange.
my best friends in school were from junior high when I was in Pineville, and then we moved away and then moved back and reunited with them. And they had, I remember one of my friends in junior high, he was from Bosnia,
Oh,
and his family left during the Bosnian crisis at that time in the what was it, the 90s, the late 90s. And so we were really good friends. It was kind of like a trio of us, and he was. But anyways, he had some troubles from what I remember in junior high and everything. And no joke, he was threatening to kill himself and stuff
boy.
like that. So it was kind of a bad time for me to move away. Not that I was helping him
PTSD, you think,
really
kind of
through
stuff? Or
no, I don't think it was necessarily that. Maybe in his parents,
Okay.
but and maybe that was affecting him. But I mean, it was just, I don't know exactly what went on either. He never really got into it with at that time, but yeah. So small rabbit hole is, at that time that he was going through all this, he brought a bullet to school
oh no.
and even told me, I'm thinking about using this kind of stuff. I don't remember exactly how I got a hold of it, but no, I somehow got it.
the bullet?
Yeah, the bullet, and never gave it back to him. And so at this
Well.
time it would have been 3 years later, almost, more like 2.5 years later, when I finally go back in 10th grade, see him and my friends and everything, and I still had that bullet and everything. And so found out that he had started a prayer group that would meet in the library before school started, every morning before
Him.
school.
Wow.
Him, and then he got some other people in school that I didn't know at the time, because I was coming back to a lot of new faces and everything.
Sure.
Just a few that I knew from junior high that were still there, and come back, and he's invites me to the prayer group, and so that was just part of our thing. Is every
kinda
morning
miraculous.
there were about 10 of us, and sometimes more, sometimes less, who would meet in the library every morning to pray. And he I think one day soon after I got back, I asked him if he remembered the bullet that he brought to school, and he I think he mentioned that he did remember it, and I brought it back to him. And he basically just hugged me and started crying, and he said it meant a lot that I brought it back to him, not because I saved his life or anything like that. I didn't really have any effect on the change from middle school, from junior high to high school that he had, but it was a reminder of where he came from, and
Okay.
the circumstance that he came from and everything. So he said he was gonna make it into a necklace or something like that. He never really did by the time we graduated, but it was just something positive that came out of I was glad to see that he wasn't in the same situation anymore.
Yeah.
He, and I mean, he found the Lord, and and obviously completely changed his life and everything. And so that was a pretty powerful moment in
I imagine.
high school to come back to.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
other
Especially at
than-
that age, and say that
Yeah.
young, like impressionable, figuring out how to be an adult,
Yeah.
age.
I'm
Transition
sure that was
age of-
shocking too for you. I mean, that's how you remembered him, right? Unless
Yeah.
you kept up with
Oh
him.
yeah. Yep. It was a big shock to see him to have turned around like that, because he was not religious in any way when I left. Me and my other friend in our little trio, we went to church all the time and everything. Didn't, but yeah. So it was a pleasant surprise whenever coming back to Pineville to go to high school and everything. So.
Wow.
I would imagine that would be really pleasant.
Yeah.
And be like,
You're
not
like, "Hey,
only are you
come-
still here,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Come down here and pray
you're leading
with
a
us.
prayer group?
And you're like,
Like, what is going on?
Okay, yeah, let's do
That's
that.
fantastic.
was.
Cheers,
It was, but I don't really have any bad memories of high school after that either. It was pretty average, I think. I ended up being an average student after that. So coming back to a bigger high school, different curriculum and everything. So it was more advanced than what I was at before.
Welcome
So
to the real world.
yeah, exactly. Basically, I had to learn some new stuff and catch up, honestly. So, but yeah, so, let's see. I just became a normal student, still went to church and everything. We tried going back to some of the old churches that we had been to before, but they just weren't the same. Not the same people anymore. Just didn't feel the same. So my parents basically told us we had to go to church with them until we were 16.
Okay.
After 16, we could decide whether we went to church with them or not. That's basically their way of saying you can start making your own decision on how you feel about religion or God or anything like that. Honestly, they didn't say it like that, but that's basically how it felt. Was at 16, you can choose to go to church or not, which I did continue. I still went to youth group, still had old family friends that we met up with all the time, and but the old churches that we went to just didn't feel the same. So we bounced around. This is the time in my life when I realized that we bounced around so much from church to church, not only just moving several times, but we went to many different churches that I remember growing up. And so it was in the back of my mind, and I thought, what's the deal? Why are we bouncing from church to church so much? I never really made great friends at most churches until we moved to Louisiana and met family friends who we were always around, which was the main reason. But
Inside and outside of church.
Inside and outside of church, because they were family friends of our parents and everything. But even in Idaho, there were friends that we would see sometimes, but most of them didn't have kids. A lot of them were older, and either they had older kids that were out of the house already, so they were none my age. But it was also a whole bunch of moving around from church to church. So we never were stable in that aspect as far as going to the same church, all my life or anything like that. So that was when I started noticing and thinking about it, because when we came back, we tried the churches we used to go to. There were two churches, this Church on the Rock and a Christian Challenge. And so we tried going to one. It wasn't the same. There was a huge falling out after we left, and then went to the other, and it was a similar thing.
Just curious, because we had a couple that we went to that had falling outs as well in the church. Was your family involved in that, or
No.
did they just decide to leave because of that?
No,
or
that had no factors. It was after we left.
Okay, I was just curious.
There was some sort of issues later on, and they had a falling out of people that we knew and family friends to cause them to leave. And so the same people weren't at those churches anymore that we remembered or that we knew. And so it just wasn't ever the same after that when we went back. And it was the same for both of them. So we, once again, went around to different churches, trying different churches, and
Testing the waters.
yeah, exactly.
Trying them on.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so, let's see. In high school was in 11th grade was the first time I met my wife, Lydia. We never dated or anything at that time. So, but we knew each other. We met each other and everything. And later in life, she claimed that she always had a crush on me for a while. Toward the probably senior year, I think.
She told me she used to deliver notes to your current girlfriend for you in high school.
Yep, senior year.
Look at this guy.
I had a pretty serious girlfriend, and she was our note passer in the hallways.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Little did
Unreal.
you know.
Yeah,
She had her
exactly.
eyes set on you. She's like, I'll do you this favor, but he's going to be mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
But
I love it.
But yeah, like I said, that was the time when I realized we moved around a lot. Don't exactly know if it affected me positively or negatively, especially at that time. I didn't really dwell on it or think about it too much. It was just one of those thoughts in the back of my mind all the time, like, why are we going from church to church? Why is this happening? And then I also, a little later, after realized that almost every church that we went to soon after we left had something big happen. I know something happened at that church that broke most of the people apart, or the church itself apart.
It's like y'all slid out right before
Exactly.
the chaos.
And so after a while, and after realizing that, I was thinking, well, was God actually protecting us from something? I mean, because in the churches, after we moved to Louisiana, Church on the Rock and Christian Challenge, those two churches had the most influence in, I think, all of our lives, our families' lives. But both of those churches had a huge issue and falling out arise after we left. That if we were there, it would have affected us negatively. There's always a possibility of, would we have been involved or something like that if we were there? But
Unintentionally.
yeah,
or not.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
just innocent bystanders.
being- Wrong place.
We're
wrong
just here,
time.
and everybody.
yeah. And so that was also became a thought in the back of my mind as I realized that too. So I was trying to figure out, was this protection? What was the reason for this? And that's kind of what I see it as even now, is that it was protection from whatever could have happened, whatever negative influence or outcome could have happened to us at that time.
Yeah.
Did you ever actually ask that question, like, "Hey, Dad," or "Hey, Mom," or whatever? Why are we doing this? Why are we going?
Not at that time at all. No. I don't think I ever really mentioned it either after growing up or now. It was just one of those things. And I think probably talking to my dad over the years, the last several years since we started walking this way and following Torah, he's mentioned here and there, what one of the things that he was seeking,
Gotcha.
or there could have been the reason.
So he's giving you pieces of the answer along the way where
Yeah,
you didn't really feel like
kinda.
you needed to ask flat
Yeah.
out. I got you.
Yeah. But
That makes sense.
yeah, so after that I graduated, was about to go off to college, go to Louisiana Tech. I was wanting to do electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And so I started, and then I knew probably sophomore or junior year in high school, I knew for a fact that I wanted to be in the Air Force at some point. And then later on, when I discovered Louisiana Tech had a Air Force ROTC program, I decided to go get a degree and go through the ROTC program to commission as an officer. Because my grandpa on my mother's side was an Air Force officer, and she was a military brat, and they moved around a lot. And he retired. I don't know when, but and then they moved to Montana, where they settled, near where we lived. So I always knew that growing up, and that was just one of my goals, was to become an officer in the Air Force. And since I had to go to college to be able to do that, I went through Air Force ROTC and Louisiana Tech, and entered the electrical engineering program there.
Don't tell Cedar. He'll be all up in your business.
Oh yeah, it was a very good school. I think it still is. But just like any college, it's however you make it is what it's going to be. So, I was already in debt before I even went to college. I had already got my own credit card and everything. So that was one of the I think generational curses that I inherited, was poor financial planning and spending. So
Hey man, I think we're from the 90s.
yeah,
Man.
it is.
It's fine.
Yeah, it was.
The age of the platinum.
You know,
Yeah.
all this he's
Exactly.
talked about, though, not one time has he said, I didn't have anything to eat, I didn't have a place
Right.
to live.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, like-
and that's the going back to your idea of being protected. We never really never think about that. I felt the same way after looking back. We were poor. We talked about it in
Yeah.
ours.
Yep.
We never went without. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Somehow, y'all always.
Provided. Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh yeah, always. And
Something.
that's I believe that fully, that he provided. He helped us through hard times. And my parents, of course, may say different, because they were in different situations,
Sure.
in different
They were the
times of their
adults.
lives.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as a child, to me, I'm seeing it in the eyes of a child or a teenager at the time. So
Yep.
I do feel like we were very blessed in our upbringing and everything, and bringing up, knowing God and knowing who Jesus was and everything, and knowing what the Bible was in general. But in college, I already had poor spending habits, which led to eventually poor study habits.
Sure.
The ROTC crowd was like very similar to a normal military lifestyle, which was getting together a lot, drinking, just having fun. So it played very well into the party lifestyle
Absolutely.
of college. So first year was pretty easy, and then the second year, it was more difficult classes, on top of not taking it as serious as I should have, on top of now I have a new girlfriend who would eventually become my wife.
Okay.
So in, I think it was my sophomore year, my roommate was one of my friends from high school, and we decided to go to homecoming at our high school, just randomly. We were going to go home, and he said, "You want to go to the homecoming game?" And it's like, okay, we both went. And then soon after that weekend, Lydia messaged me on Facebook, and first thing that she said was, "Hey, cutie."
She's
What up, brother?
hook, line, and
Where
sinker.
you been all my life?
She said, "Hey, cutie," and that was all she had to say. And now we're married.
Well, that was a good story.
But we started talking back and forth, being flirty and stuff like that. So it was.
And y'all are so cute, by the way. It's so cute.
So we
it.
kind of went from there, and then started dating. And so because she was in Pineville and I was 2 hours away in Ruston, which is northern Louisiana, I came back as often as I could to see her, and that led to me wanting to be down there with her more often than going to classes, going.
Sure,
So
sure.
eventually, a weekend turned into I'll just skip Monday classes kind of
We'll
thing.
catch up next
Yeah,
time.
we stayed up so late Sunday, so I'm just gonna stay here and sleep in. Not worry about classes. Mondays skipping classes, not taking them seriously.
Can you like the Lion
Stuff like
King
that.
theme song?
Yeah.
Can you feel-
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
I'll have to
so
edit
that year, just my grades plummeted. At the end of the year, I lost my RTC scholarship because of my grades.
Oh, really?
And
Oh,
so I left that year basically not expecting to go back. And me and Lydia were going to get married in that June in 2009. And I was going to try to go to a different school eventually. So that was our plan. I proposed to her probably a couple months into our relationship. And then we went a whole year of being engaged. And then getting married in June 6th, 2009. That was the year after my sophomore year was over. I lost my scholarship, wasn't going to go to Louisiana Tech anymore, dropped out of the engineering program.
How did
And-
she handle all that since she was becoming your wife? How did she react to that?
I mean, the plan initially was to transfer to ULM in Monroe. We were going to go live in Monroe. And I was just going to transfer and find a degree that I wanted to do after that, and then eventually commission as an officer still.
Okay.
But
So you still had a plan.
yeah, I still had a plan. It was still going to be rough. I worked at Super One Foods, a grocery chain, and I worked. After we got married, I began working as a butcher in the meat
You
department.
told me this. Yeah.
And so,
well, he didn't tell me.
yeah.
we were in the deer woods.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So so I started working full time. Something happened with my transcript, not transferring in time for the next semester.
Oh, no.
And
Oh,
so
no.
I couldn't start the very next semester
Yeah.
in the fall to transfer to ULM. So I just started working full time. And then eventually full time became full time and not worrying about going back to school kind of thing.
Sure.
So
As life often does.
yeah.
You got to provide, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, you got to do what you
So
got to do.
when we were in Monroe, we got plugged into a church that my sister and brother-in-law went to over there, and they had a lot of friends that went there, and so we got plugged in with them for about 6 months. And then after 6 months, we decided to move back to central Louisiana, to Pineville, because that's where the majority of our family was.
Dad's still there.
Yeah, parents are still there. My brother was still living there. My little sister was in high school, going into college.
Okay.
And her family, all of her mom's side, lived in central Louisiana. So we're like, okay, let's move back there. We have my sister up here, but there's nobody else up here. So I transferred to the Super One down there with promises of becoming a assistant manager in the meat market down there, and continued to work in the grocery store. She was a hairdresser. She was a cosmetologist, so she had a job down there also that she went to, and we were just basically living. And eventually we started going to a church called Crossroads in Tioga, Louisiana, and that was the pastor that married us. So before, later in high school and going into college, this was the church that our parents, were going to.
Okay,
My dad
okay.
was doing worship there, playing guitar and singing, and we became very good friends with the pastor and his wife and people there. And then I was not going there as much because I was in Ruston most of the time and just traveling back and forth. But we still had contacts there. So when we moved back down there, we started going to Crossroads again and became worship leaders on the worship team and playing guitar, Lydia singing, me singing, and I mean, kind of went from there. We continued to go there and lead worship, and
Had your dad been doing the music at all these different churches?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so pretty
everyone's in the
much
family.
Yeah, it was pretty much every church since I can remember. He was playing guitar and singing in the worship team.
I was involved in some way.
Yep.
Music.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
cool.
so that was one thing that me and my brother picked up when we got older, was learning guitar. And so we started playing on the worship team at Crossroads, and eventually we moved into what used to be like the parsonage house of the church where the pastor would normally live. At that time, the pastor had a different house, and the ones that lived there were usually like younger men or women who were studying to be pastors or be involved in ministry somehow. So they were usually given
That's interesting.
given
Okay.
a place to stay, to
So
super
seminary
cheap.
students or
Almost
ministry students.
kind of the same lines, not necessarily in seminary
officially,
or anything,
yeah.
but yeah, more they were the more serious ones who knew they wanted to go into ministry of some sort
Okay.
in their
Yeah,
lives.
so that sounds like a pretty cool deal.
So
Missionaries,
there was
music ministries.
nobody living in this particular trailer, and we needed a place to move to and so the pastor offered it to us for very cheap. So around that time, a little before that time, moving in that trailer, I wanted to still have the military lifestyle of some sort, still wanted to be in the military, but we didn't want to move around. We got settled in central Louisiana, and we didn't want to move around and move away from family.
Sure.
So found out about the Louisiana Air National Guard, and I decided to enlist in the Air National Guard in central Louisiana, and went to basic training in 2010.
Okay.
It's been about a year. Okay.
Yep. So about a year after we got married, I was out of ROTC, out of college, just working full time, and decided I still want to do the military of some sort, but we don't want to move. So we looked at the Guard. Initially, I looked into the Army National Guard, and then found out that there was an Air Force National Guard. And so I joined the Air Force National Guard. So after enlisting, soon after, I went into basic training, and then eventually my tech school for my job training. And I was between basic and tech school, I was gone for about a year.
Right.
So I was away from Lydia. I only saw her a handful of times that whole year.
Oh,
It was a
everything.
tough.
that'd be
Yeah.
really hard, especially
So-
only still being the newlyweds. You know, what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
this
You've been
was-
married like
You're a year
barely a
alone.
year.
Yeah.
That's
So-
tough.
We're still in the honeymoon stage.
Yeah,
Good
pretty
on
much.
her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Good on
it
you
was
too, but
tough.
good on
it was
her.
it was very tough.
No, good on him. He had to go.
And she had to wait for
She
him.
got to stay.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, so
Dear John. You know?
That's
oh
what
no,
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
no, it was pretty tough. We went through
She's
some
like,
hard
she's
times.
not allowed to Dear John
She
me.
does not
No,
write me no letters like
No,
that.
Anyway, go ahead,
not
sorry.
at all.
Excuse
But
me.
it's okay. We no, it was definitely a struggling time. That was when she had her first miscarriage, and I was not allowed to take leave to go back.
No.
So that was pretty tough, and so that was a very hard time in our lives while I was away for a year. So that was probably a few months into me being gone and everything.
brother.
So not only were we struggling financially, that came up while I was in tech school. I was told I couldn't take leave to go back home or anything for that. So yeah, it was tough, but eventually I came back, and then soon after that was when our pastor had offered us the trailer to live in because our lease was about to be up with the house that we were renting at the time. And so rented a 2-bedroom, 2-bath trailer right next to the church for like $400 a month. So,
Somewhere to live, man.
Yeah.
I mean, everything was cheaper back then,
2
but
bedrooms
that was
and 2
still really
bathrooms.
cheap for the time too. So, but yeah,
No, that's a good deal.
That is
it
good.
was. So we couldn't pass that up. So,
No.
but soon after I got back, I went back to work for a little while, but eventually got a job at Procter and Gamble. They make Tide and Gain and stuff. So they had a Tide plant in Pineville, Louisiana, that I came back to, and eventually got hired there
Okay.
with a contractor there, and worked there for I think 2 years. So it was a very good job.
Yeah.
It's like factory work.
Factory, yeah.
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 Yeah. The hours were kind of tough, but
But the pay
you
was
get
probably
used to
pretty
it.
good.
Yeah, it was good. A lot of overtime and everything. So for us, it
When
was.
you
it
ring
was
that
good.
bell, you
Yep.
get paid. Yeah.
Yep.
Blow the whistle. Woo.
Yeah.
It's like break time, guys. You know.
So but it was a very good job too. I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the people I worked with, my boss, and I ended up getting a promotion at one point. So after working there about 6 months, I eventually got a promotion. So
Okay.
we and then the people I worked with the whole time I enjoyed working with. It was a really good job at the time. But that was around the time when we had Adelaide, our oldest
Okay.
daughter.
Okay.
So around leading up to 2012, for the probably about 2011 to 2012 was when my parents started looking into keeping Torah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they had met some friends, and they got to talking with these friends, found out they were Messianic Jewish, and we didn't really know what that was at the time. My
Sure.
dad started digging into it and started talking to them more, and they started explaining to him. So he eventually went on a trip up to Cozaholm, Arkansas, in the Ozarks in the Buffalo Ridge,
Okay.
and his friends had some cabins up there that they just would go to every now and then, like a getaway place,
Like a retreat?
Yep.
That must
And
be nice.
so my dad fell in love with the area and everything. The
bet
scenery,
he
and
It's
did.
everything.
beautiful in the
This
hills.
So-
man has been across
Oh,
the
yeah.
entire country,
Yeah.
and he fell in love with Arkansas.
talking.
I want to point that out.
Stop talking to me.
Well,
I don't like
if
the
you
weather
wanna-
here.
if you want to pull up
Oh,
the pictures,
terrible timing.
No, it's not.
no, it's
Arkansas,
not.
Do it.
man. All right,
So-
which one you want?
So you can pull up where is it? Lake picture
Lake
right
picture.
there. So this is Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. This is Lake Coeur d'Alene, the mountains and everything that we used to live near in when we were in northern Idaho. And then the winter picture,
You want to look at the winter one?
yeah. And then of course we're used to white winters, normal seasons like this, a white wintry snow and everything like that. So, and then when we moved down to Louisiana, it was swampland and just swamps
wow.
just like that.
Swamps.
And then the
The
flat
bogs.
grassy-
Alligators.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then now this
I want to
picture
point out
must be
Arkansas has swamps as well. Not as bad, but
now this grassy picture, it must be like more of northern Louisiana, because there's not really many hills like that in Louisiana.
yeah, it's similar
So
to
it's like
That's
flat
beautiful.
mid to
land,
southern Arkansas.
hot, humid, and everything.
You
So,
keep that part. But,
Yeah.
You know,
But
well,
it went from the nice mountains and normal seasons of the year to summer all year and flat nothingness. So,
And swamps.
but yeah,
welcome
so
to Arkansas.
my dad going up to the Ozarks, is kind of like reminiscent of, okay, this is mountainous area,
Yeah,
like
it's beautiful.
like in Idaho and everything. So it's kind of tugged at his heartstrings a little bit too.
Sure.
But that was when he started asking more questions. They started revealing, why we still follow Torah and
Sure,
everything to my dad. And then he comes back and starts digging into Torah, digging into scriptures, scripture research
Started
stuff.
piecing it together.
He went all in. He went to study in like Masoretic texts, taught himself Hebrew and everything like this. And so he started digging in really deep after that, and then explaining everything to my mom, and started going to their congregation
Oh man,
on
I
Shabbat.
bet that
Messianic
ruffled
congregation?
some feathers.
Oh yeah, so and
Some feathers were ruffled. that
it
one.
did, and so it ruffled.
Your dad and mom, sorry, but your dad and mom went from the charismatics straight
Sorry.
to
You're
the
good.
Messianic Jew congregation.
Yeah,
Yes.
basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, in some ways they're similar, but that's pretty far spectrum
Oh
Yeah.
as far as
that is
belief
way-
systems.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
know, are
it
considered.
was. And
Yeah.
so a lot of their friends, saw him as backsliding kind of stuff,
Heathen.
and
Falling away.
falling
Are
away.
you becoming
They're
a
literally
Jew?
falling closer to
Yeah.
the Father, but yet they're the backsliders.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yep.
They're going back to the beginning, which is any Christian church is going to consider backsliding anything other than Christianity. So,
That's
Yep.
fair.
I
That's fair.
agree. Yeah.
but yeah,
That's a good point.
they started looking into that, started going to Shabbat service with them, meeting up with them for Torah study and whatnot. And me and my wife were still doing worship at Crossroads.
Oh yeah. How soon before he had that conversation?
So it was probably a good 6 months, maybe almost a year after
Okay.
he started digging into it and started believing that way, that he even really mentioned too much to me. He was really trying to work on my older brother most of all, who came against him pretty hard. So I was the monkey in the middle whenever my dad was explaining his side and my brother was explaining his side. So my brother was explaining the Christianity part of it, why we shouldn't believe in the Torah anymore, and then my dad, the Torah part, observant part, why we should still be following Torah. And so I was kind of in the middle, but I was already looking into Torah myself at the time
Okay.
because of talking to my dad. So me and Lydia were already discussing it and looking into why we should be observing Torah still, why it didn't change anything, why Yeshua's sacrifice didn't change that aspect of
Right.
it. And so we were already on our way and getting the wheels turning to go that direction.
And was that your dad just kind of throwing things at you?
Yeah.
Hey, look at this.
Yep.
Here and there.
And you're like,
Yep.
okay, I'll take a look at that. And, okay.
And so, and at the same time, my brother talking about how my dad's wrong and everything, while I'm sitting here listening to him at a church retreat, argue about why my dad is wrong while I'm wearing seat and sitting there talking to him. And so I'm like, I mean, I don't believe you, I believe him, and I've already looked into it myself. So, but yeah, so for the first few years, it was pretty tough with some of our family and friends and stuff.
Lose some friends.
Yeah, so as far as me and Lydia goes, we didn't really lose a whole lot. So a lot of our friends were understanding and everything. But that was basically the turning point. But the nail in the coffin was when we were pregnant with Adelaide, our oldest, and toward the end of the pregnancy, before she was born, we were getting to the point where we were like, okay, we started going to Teshuva on Shabbats, and we were doing worship on Sundays at church. And so it was a matter of, we didn't want to bring up a child in both and be confused
Good call.
So we need to decide on one or the other. We were already leaning towards Shabbat and Torah. So at that point, right before she was born, we decided we need to go ahead and tell Pastor we're not going to do worship anymore. We're going to leave the church and we're going to start studying Torah and the way we were going. And so
Good for you, Andrew.
soon after she was born, we started going to Shabbat meetings with my dad and at Teshuvah. It was a congregation. It was the name of a congregation that we went to with all the friends that he had met and everything who brought him up to Koza home. And so we started meeting with them and stopped going to Crossroads, stopped doing worship at Crossroads. We went back every now and then, here and there, just to visit, because we were still really good friends with a lot of people there.
Oh,
and
imagine.
so, but I mean, we left that behind. And soon after that, I got a job as a full-time Title 32 technician at my unit in Alexandria. And so I was
wow.
getting a better job, a federal job, and I was going to leave Procter & Gamble. And then along with that, we decided to buy our own house. Become homeowners. And that also allowed us to leave Crossroads behind a little bit too, because we were still living in that trailer for a little while.
That's got to be hard
Yeah.
to
Oh, I
be
didn't
in
know
that
about
trailer
that.
and
So
call them.
he
They're
didn't.
outside the building.
Yeah,
It's like,
he
hey.
didn't kick us out or anything. It was
Shalom.
Yeah, it was all amicable and everything. So
Well, that's good
he was,
because in most situations it would have been. So
yeah,
y'all was
so-
looking out for you.
But yeah, we left there and got our own home in DeVille, which is just outside of Pineville, and lived there up until and did the military thing. It's basically the military thing because as a technician at my guard unit, wearing the uniform every day, going to work,
It's a job.
regular job and
Yeah.
everything like that. So it was very similar to being active military, just not moving around.
So that's kind of how you set it up, though.
Yeah.
You know, you'd mentioned that.
Yep. And so, and then eventually moved here, because my dad and I went on another men's trip up to Koza home, and I fell in love with the Ozarks. I fell in love with the area.
It's beautiful
because it was reminiscent of northern Idaho. It was as close as I could get without going too far from Louisiana.
Like being
for
snowed
Lydia's
in
family.
for 6 months, you know.
Yeah. So it was, I fell in love with it immediately. Lydia hadn't really been to Arkansas yet. And eventually over the years, we made a trip to Hot Springs for a little vacation. And that was when she decided, okay, we can move to Arkansas now. So she fell in love with Arkansas. That was probably around 2015 or 16.
Okay.
And then I deployed in 2017. And then in 2018, I applied for the FAA. I was dealing with stuff in our unit. I just wasn't fond of the way everything was going in our unit. So I decided I wanted to find a job elsewhere. The FAA was an easy transition. And so
Okay.
I decided to do that. Got hired in 2019. And then we moved up here to Cabot. So as all this is going on, basically in high school, for whatever reason, I mean, I know the reason now, but at that time, for whatever reason, it was funny or silly to pretend as if that we were Jewish of some sort. Me and one of my friends, our little trio that we had, me and him, we'd just joke around that, we were Jewish or something like that. It was just one of those things. It was no rhyme or reason to it. It was just something that was silly that we did all the time.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. So that was just one of the little bitty seeds that I look back on. And later, around my senior year, I actually looked into the dietary kosher laws.
Okay.
So going to church and everything, but I was thinking, you know what? I'm thinking about starting to eat kosher or something like that, So I started looking into it and everything.
Hey man,
I
it's
didn't,
scientific too. It's not
I didn't,
just
yeah, I
little.
didn't even think about, I'm gonna start following Torah. I was just like, you know what? I think I might look into dietary laws and stuff like that. So
These
that was
Louisiana.
just, it was just like one of those weird things that I just decided to start looking into. I never
that's
actually
cool.
followed through with it, but it was just in my mind for some reason. And then,
But that was Yah. He was
oh
talking
yeah,
to you.
it was definitely one of those seeds that got planted somehow. I don't know what happened in my life because I don't remember a point at which I was like, hey, that guy's Jewish, or talk to a Jewish person or a rabbi of any sort
Sure.
throughout my life growing up. There was no point where I was like, what is this Jewish stuff about kind of thing, or what is this Torah about kind of thing. So it was just me and my friend thought it was silly, which probably led to me thinking about, looking into dietary laws. And then it was such a thing that when I went to college, I claimed that I was Jewish. Not necessarily practicing, but I would told people I was Jewish.
Are you Jewish descent?
Technically, yes. Bloodline, I am Jewish descent.
Interesting.
I didn't know that at the time, though. I was just bald-faced lying. I just thought it was something funny, and I was like, okay, I'll be that token Jewish.
I'll be that guy.
person or
I'll be the
something.
token Jew.
Yeah,
That's
so
That's funny.
so it was like it was
God
just a
bless
funny
you,
thing.
son.
Yeah, so it was because to be Jewish, you don't necessarily have to be practicing. It's just a thing,
It's
Sure,
almost a
sure.
colloquialism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So throughout ROTC, my ROTC buddies knew me as a Jewish guy kind of thing, Jewish descent and everything.
Well, you had the long hair too, and the
No,
big
at
beard.
that time I didn't. No, I couldn't because I was in
Oh,
ROTC.
obviously, yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Well, I see the
I
pictures.
didn't have the long
though.
hair until after the military.
I see those pictures. Like
Yeah.
this dude had a beard. Or
No.
Rockin'.
But yeah, it was just one of those weird quirks that I decided to go with. And
That's wild.
And so that was just a little thing throughout end of high school, going into college, and it was probably one of those things where I'm gonna make my own story about who people see me as, in college, because I didn't know anybody or anything, so it was a new me kind of time. And so I decided to become
Playing a character.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
decided to be the Jewish guy. And then when me and Lydia started dating, that was something that was on my Facebook profile.
Oh boy.
And her parents questioned it. They're like, says he's Jewish. Does he believe in Jesus or anything? Stuff like that. They started questioning her about it. And so she asked me a little bit about it. I was like, yeah, just Jewish, but I don't really practice. I'm a Christian and everything like that. And so that kind of,
Andrew, you
eased
got a
her
double
parents.
life going
Yeah.
on.
So yeah, it was just a weird thing. But then it eventually got to the point where when we were going through our marriage counseling, I started thinking about having a Jewish wedding.
Okay.
And I wanted the chuppah and everything, and I didn't know why they did the things that they did in a Jewish wedding, but I thought about I wanted to look into having a Jewish wedding.
Man, they're fun.
Jewish style
Okay,
wedding.
they are
They
fun.
look fun. They look fun.
But
They're
it was
fun.
so it was just always one of those things in my mind. Jewish something, Jewish people, something coming back to the Torah. And so at that time, I asked my pastor, I said, have you ever heard of Messianic Judaism and stuff?
I was just asking you
And
this.
because I had looked into it at that point. We were going through our marriage counseling, and on one of the questions that they asked, it was, have you ever heard of Messianic Judaism? And I said, no. And they said, well, it's mine and his one-on-one sessions, I asked him, what about the biblical feasts? I said, do you have any books, or do you know what all of the biblical feasts are that we're supposed to do? He's like, oh yeah, he gave me this little bitty booklet that maybe mentioned all of them and gave a little brief definition of all of them. And I said, well, I was thinking about maybe doing a Jewish wedding and maybe even becoming Messianic Jewish. So he's like, you really don't want to do that. He said,
He's the charismatic guy.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was the one that married us at a crossroads. And so he's like, you really don't want to do that, you know. I mean, Jesus died. Once Jesus died, you know, he did away with the law. You don't have to follow the law. We don't have to do all this. But I was curious, and I was like, okay, well, all right, that's fine. I won't worry about it. And I never really thought about it after that until, you know, we had a normal wedding after that and lived our lives up until my parents started looking at Torah keeping.
It's
And-
weird how those little seeds were kind
yeah.
of already in your mind.
Yep. And my dad has a similar story throughout his whole life. And he started from a younger age,
Sure.
questioning the what the deal was with the Jewish people, what, you know, how God hasn't forgot about them kind of stuff. And he started questioning that way earlier in his life. But it was a similar way that I just had these random seeds planted of, you know, in the back of my mind all the time about Jewish feasts, eating kosher, or the biblical dietary laws and everything like that. So, and then eventually when my dad started studying it and started sharing with us about it, it was just like,
It wasn't an
you
argument
know,
for you.
it wasn't. I never really cared too much about Christmas. Growing up, we were always told there's no such thing as Santa. There's no Easter Bunny. These are not actual biblical holidays.
So they told
were
y'all
based.
that.
Oh yeah,
Okay, good.
from as far as I can remember, as young as I can remember.
Good for them.
They explained to us these are not initial Christian or biblical holidays. These were pagan holidays that became Christian, and this is not. There's no Santa. There's no Easter Bunny. There's stuff like that. We just do it because it's part of Christianity now and everything like that. And so that was probably one of the reasons why it was just never one of those huge things in our house, but it was never, even in my mind, it wasn't, I'm really looking forward to Christmas kind of attitude that I ever had.
Can't
So
wait to find
Yeah.
some
For you, man.
eggs.
yeah,
It
exactly.
was the
So
opposite over here. Okay.
so
Not for this
yeah,
guy.
it was the opposite for Lydia too. So
Yeah.
when we decided to go all in and keep in Torah,
Yeah.
it was a lot harder on her than it was me.
Sure.
It was harder for her to let go of Christmas and holidays and stuff than it was me. I was just like, yeah, I'm fine with it. Just new set of holidays, basically. I don't care about Christmas or any of the other stuff. I already knew what it was. And her side of the family was big into Christmas, a big holiday people. And so it was
Almost like you're sinning if you're not a part of it. You know?
yeah.
That's how they
yes.
make you feel.
That's how
yeah.
we got
Yes. And so so that was part of the struggle when we first decided that we were going to put the Christian behind us and go all in on Torah. And so since then, we went to Teshuvah for a while, had made really good friends there, learned a lot, and that's where I did a lot of my studying in those few years. And then eventually that group kind of started dwindling away, and we found some friends in near Leesville, Louisiana, which was south of us. And it was Lydia's old youth pastor when she was growing up in an Assembly of God church in Pineville.
Wow.
Her old youth pastor started looking into Torah keeping, and her brother, her youth pastor's brother, was the same way. And so they had a family home near theirs.
Do you
Fantastic.
remember what year this was, Adrian?
This was probably it's been probably around 2014 or 15.
Okay.
So they started looking into it, and then Lydia realized what was happening with her, and so she contacted her through Facebook and started talking to her, and they hit it off, and they were like, we're doing a home group. So we decided to start going to their home group, and we started studying with them, and we started doing worship at their home group with them.
Yeah.
And probably went there for almost 2 years.
Wow.
And then we ended up moving here. So we moved here because I was ready to get out of Louisiana. I never liked Louisiana in general. It wasn't a place I called home. It wasn't a place like I felt was home. It was a place I was just stuck in. I was stuck because I married a wife who had family there, and we didn't want to move away while the kids were young. I was stuck because I ended up in a really good job there, and I was stuck in that job because there wasn't really anything better. So at this time, around 2018 is when I started looking for other jobs, and the FAA was hiring. And after that, we had already been on our hot springs vacation. Lydia liked Arkansas, and I wanted to move out of Louisiana, preferably further north. And she didn't want to move too far to where she couldn't drive back to Louisiana to visit
That's fair.
family.
That's fair.
That is
So
fair.
we're like, I said, okay, so probably going to have to be a bigger city of some sort, around a bigger city, because that's the easiest way to get into the FAA. And so I applied for Little Rock and ended up getting the job up here and moved in 2019. And when we moved here, my parents were planning to be up here soon after. They didn't know when, but they knew they also wanted to move up here, but they wanted to go to Northwest Arkansas.
Further north,
Which is,
yeah.
yes. So after we moved up here, we basically didn't go anywhere. We didn't go to church or anything for about a year because we didn't know anybody. We didn't know about any congregations around here or anything. So we just had to kind of suck it up and be by ourselves for a while. And then probably in around 2021 or 22 is kind of where everything opened up. After COVID and everything, we started looking into places. We started looking into, all right, we got to find a congregation of some sort. So we came across a group in Lone Oak who were meeting. It was a very small group, almost like a home study group, and went out there and met them, and met with them once on the Shabbat, met everybody, and had a good time. And then after that, they delayed and delayed meeting again, and then eventually it just kind of fizzled out. And they never met again, and we lost contact with them and everything.
Wow.
So
Well, that's
it was and then we went a little while without going anywhere again, and then found a place called Kingdom of Messiah in West Little Rock.
Okay.
And it was a guy named Randy Fields. He had I think it was an HVAC, heat and air business out there, and then half of their storage building they converted to a little meeting place. So
Perfect.
we met there for Shabbat and everything, and had potluck and everything for almost a year.
Probably had great air conditioner.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I don't remember being cold or hot. So,
It was very comfortable
Yeah.
there, actually.
so he's that's where we met a lot of the people we know now in the Messianic world or the Torah keeping world. And so they they decided not to renew the lease at the end of that year
Okay.
for that building.
Okay. I think
And
Lydia
the
told me
guy
about
who
that.
started that congregation was going to have back surgery. So he wouldn't be back for at least 6 weeks anyway. So he said, I'm going for back surgery. I won't be back for quite some time. We're not going to renew the lease on this building. So we're just going to basically fizzle out and
Wow.
end it here.
So sad.
And so that's when some friends of ours in that congregation, we had started going to another place that was starting a congregation at Agape Church in West Little Rock, and they're Ahava congregation over there. So that's
remember you
the
talking about
Messianic
this,
side
yeah.
of their Sunday church. And so we started going there, and we loved the people, loved the atmosphere and everything. It was a very small group at the time. And so at Kingdom Messiah, once they found out, me and Lydia started doing worship there. And then when we went to Ahava, once they found out, we started doing worship there. So each place we were pretty much leading worship in some way or another, usually playing guitar and singing. And so, but we stayed at Ahava probably a little over 2 years. And then we started getting burnt out. It was a decent ways to travel.
Yeah.
And Lydia found her friends started going to NLCBB.
Yeah, that's right.
And on Sundays, so she started going there on Sundays sometimes. And then they got her to start singing for worship. So we were doing worship on Saturdays, and then she was doing worship on Sundays. And then eventually I started going every now and then to NLCBB. So we were splitting our time between the church and the congregation on Shabbat. So it got old pretty quick. And we decided to leave Ahava and start going to NLC. And so we did that and started doing worship there for almost a year. Actually, maybe a little over a year. Just felt like it was time to leave Ahava. It was, like I said, we were getting burnt out on doing both, and we decided to go with NLC because it was not only closer, but we had friends from homeschool groups and everything that we knew, and our kids knew a lot of kids there, and that's just the direction we went in. And after being there for a while, we found you guys. So saw Jen in Walmart one day. I was literally only getting bread too, on my way home from work. I go down the bread aisle, her and Hobbit and Cedar and the kids were right there at the end of the bread aisle. And I remember just glancing, passing by, grabbed my bread, and Ace of Base was playing on the loudspeaker in
Walmart.
And so you and I think Hobbit or Riley were arguing about you mentioned who it was, and she
was trying to tell me
she
it
was
was
trying
that,
to
and
tell
I was
you
like,
who
bro,
it
it's the
was.
first CD I ever had.
And so
I'm telling you.
So sad, but
I
sure.
thought you were trying to remember who it was, or try to remember so you could tell her who it was. And so just as I passed by, as I was about to go to the front, I just said, "It's Ace of Base." And she goes, "Yes, it is." And then I turn the corner, and then I hear this screaming behind me, "Hey, wait, you!"
He turned the corner, and I saw like zeets fly behind him.
Yeah,
slow
they're like
motion,
floating
you know?
in the
And I was
Walmart air
like,
conditioner wind, you know.
Yeah. So I'm like,
literally chased him
turned
down.
around and said,
Probably a little freaked
"Can I
out.
help you?"
Probably.
Like, what's going
She
on
said,
here?
she just says, "Tzitzit, I see you have tzitzit on."
Like I didn't know what to say because I had
was like,
never
"Oh,
done
yeah,
that
yeah,
to
yeah,
anyone.
I'm
And
Jewish,"
she's like,
and-
"That's great."
And I was
she's
like,
like, "Oh."
Well, and I was like, I was like, what are you? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I mean, are you like
I'm human.
Torah observant? Are you Messianic Jew?
Uh-huh.
Are you, just Messianic in general? Because there's so many different, even in the Torah community or the
Yeah.
ones that
Yeah.
follow Torah. There's so many
Yep.
different sects of it, you
Yeah.
know.
Didn't take long.
And
Yep.
yeah,
Nope.
and so I was just curious, because like for us, we know how we feel about things, but we're not going someone that maybe does more of the messianic traditions. We're not
Yeah.
going to be like, you can't worship with us, you know.
Yeah.
Well, that wouldn't. Yeah.
You know,
It wouldn't be fruitful.
it
No,
wouldn't be
no,
fruitful.
yeah.
So,
It was.
you explained it that you're kind of in the middle, you know,
Yeah.
and you are, you know, and that was a fair assessment. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'll let you get back to your story.
It was pretty spot on. We discussed it for a few minutes and everything, and then you were talking about how you guys meet here, and mostly just family and a couple of friends and everything.
Andrew's like,
so I
oh
was
God,
like,
another
Another
house.
no, I
house
mean,
church.
'cause we were kind of waiting for something like that. I never really agreed with going to Sunday church.
Sure.
But
I remember you
I
telling me.
wanted my kids to be somewhere where they were at least learning about God and Jesus. So something to me was better than nothing. And instead of being home, doing nothing, not going anywhere, not fellowshipping, not having a congregation,
Or
not
driving
meeting
an
people.
hour and a half.
Yeah,
and-
so we were already done with Ahava at that point, and we decided to go to NLC. I was starting to, I was always of that mindset when going to NLC. I really never went to church unless I was playing and singing anyway. So I never, I had relationships, but I never really got too deep other than doing worship and being there for kids and for fellowship with people.
And to
So-
set the light, because you wore your zeets there too,
Oh, yeah.
so people would like
I wore my
question you
tzitzit
about
and
it or whatever.
and kippah all the every time I went.
Yeah.
So I was also there known as the Jewish guy who goes to their church.
Things
so-
never change.
Oh
Hey
yeah.
man, I bet it caused
So-
some questions. You know?
Oh yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that was part of the reason. That was what we told Steve at Ahava and everything. We were like, not only are we burnt out here, but we feel like we can be a light at their church, you know, cause people to ask questions and stuff like that. And so that's how we were. And we ended up being on the worship team, and then meeting you, we started coming here to fellowship with you guys and study with you guys. And we were like, okay, well, I think this is our time to leave NLC now. So told the pastor there, told the worship leader there, and told the pastor there that we were leaving. We found a group, a Torah keeping group that is kind of what we've been waiting on. And so we're gonna start going over there. And then left NLC BB and started coming here with you guys and celebrating the feast together and studying
Yeah.
together and everything. And
It's
then,
coming up on a year,
It's
too.
been so much
yeah,
fun.
yeah, it will be, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
But but now we also split our time between here with you guys and Ahava. Going back to Ahava, things have changed, but most of the people are still there. We had friends there that we love to see all the
And
time
miss,
and
yeah.
stuff. So, so instead of going there every Shabbat, you know, taking a long drive all the time, I think it'll be a little bit better going a couple of Shabbats a month and staying with you guys a couple of Shabbats a month, and then hopefully we won't get like burnt out somehow somewhere or something like that. So, but yeah, we still had issues along our way, and especially in this walk doing
For sure.
things. People have come against us, trying to convince us. We've had not a whole lot of resistance from family and friends. My parents, of course, are all for it, obviously, but
Because they're in it.
yeah,
It's an easy
Yeah.
win.
Right?
my siblings basically understand where we're coming from. They don't necessarily agree, but they, it's like agree to disagree kind of situation. They're not going to push it in any way anymore. And same thing with her parents. Lydia's parents their main thing was, so are you stopping do you not believe in Jesus anymore or
There it
something
is,
like
yeah.
that? And so we're like, no, we still believe that he was the Messiah and everything. And so after that explanation, they're like, oh, okay, you're fine, whatever, you just don't celebrate the same holidays as us anymore, kind of thing. And over the years, it's become a normal thing that all of us coexist with one another and everything like that. But yeah,
What I think is important. We're supposed to be, you know, it says to live in peace with everyone as much as it's possible on your side.
Yeah.
So
Even
like
outside
whether
of it, yeah.
whether they believe in Messiah, Yeshua, whether they believe in Jesus, whether they even if they're a complete and utter heathen and they believe in, the Norse gods or whatever, you're still supposed to be at peace with them as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good that you guys are at that kind of point with them.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like they've agreed to disagree and you guys have said your piece and explained it to them and given them the opportunity, and maybe you still bring it up occasionally, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah, because it could go another way.
Yeah.
Total separation can be on both sides, the Torah community and also the Christian community, because they're like, well, you're back under the law. You're sinning. You're actually cursing yourself. They literally can go down that rabbit hole too. So you gotta balance that. And I think our the best way we've been able to do it is just total separation from all the practices and love them from a distance if they don't want us around.
Yeah.
If they don't mind us.
But that took us practice doing that because we were really pushy at
it's
first.
that
It
separation.
turned a lot of people
It's
off.
tough. It's like, hey, I'm not going to be involved in that. I will come help you if you need me.
Yeah.
You're still my mom.
And that might be why things went better for them because they're not as pushy people, I've noticed, as we are.
Oh, no. Well, because when
you guys are a lot more laid back than we are.
You
We're
are,
like,
yeah.
you gotta believe it.
Well, not just that. We completely separated from those things. Like, we didn't want to be around it. We're not putting our kids around it. It's not right. It's not fair. We're not doing it. We're just we're going to put our trust in him. And we told you, this, but if you're still kind of involved and you're still doing these things and kind of, well, it's okay if you do that.
It's easier to be a light that way sometimes.
It's easier to be a light and sometimes can plant a seed along the way.
Yeah.
I think hearing your story, I think there was probably a few times where
a
little seed might have planted.
That definitely has happened. Like we've seen just basically living our lives and people observing how we live has caused so many people to ask questions
at least
along the way at a minimum, and in some cases just completely change their views of Christianity and everything. So years down the road, we eventually found out that the pastor that married us from Crossroads, after he retired from that church, he and his wife started a home group, a Shabbat group, in their house.
Perfect.
And
See?
and
You're like,
Lydia
you could have
started
just done
talking
the
to
Jewish
them.
wedding.
Yep.
I just wanted to have a
And
Jewish
so
wedding.
they started observing Shabbat and everything like that. And later on, when we heard about that, we were just ecstatic. Lydia was still talking to the pastor's wife and everything like that, and that's how she found out. And so we were like, wow. And so found that out years down the road. And then there's just little things here and there of, even now, currently, people asking us about biblical feasts and everything like that. So we have friends in homeschool groups and stuff who ask us about it. And there are a handful of them who seem like they're starting to go that way. They're starting to get more interested, start asking more in-depth questions.
We believe that Yah's waking people up.
Oh, yeah.
We're supposed to be that.
Yep.
That bouncing.
Yep. It's supposed to be that light to shine into the world.
So they're like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you being different than us? Do
Yeah.
You know?
Even as Christians, it's like, some people see the similarities, but when you can see how different we live from them, it brings more questions as to why and everything. So it's like, we know you believe in Jesus and everything, but you're doing a lot of things different than what we're doing, or even people questioning, like, honestly, because I knew about it growing up, it still is surprising to me that adults my age and even way older than me don't even know that Christmas, Easter, and all these holidays were initially pagan holidays to begin with, and that Jesus wasn't born on the 25th of December. Like
Yeah.
there are some people, some adults who have kids and who raised kids and who, did all this their whole lives and didn't even know that. I'm like, and to me that's surprising because I knew since I was as
Sure.
young as I can remember.
Because your dad did you
Exactly,
a good
but
service.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just part of that is like still surprising to me. So some people who we know who just realized that are asking us these questions and starting to question why are we celebrating this instead of biblical feast days? Asking Lydia, hey, can you tell me more about the holidays that you celebrate? Stuff like that.
She's like, well, Leviticus
Yeah.
23. It's down
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, she found a really good short book that she started reading a long time ago about the feast days. It's literally like a devotional, I think it is,
Okay.
that basically explains all of the feast days and
Nice.
where they are in Torah and everything like that and how to observe them.
And why they're still applicable.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, it's not. I found that it's not a matter of people being shy of the holy days versus the holidays. Because I
Yeah.
found a lot of people are curious. They might want to do a Passover meal with their congregation or whatever. It's finding why is it still applicable that we need to do it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
that kind of turns them off because they've been raised that it doesn't pertain anymore. And so eyes being open, they're
Yep.
naturally going to start asking these questions. And we have to remember many are called, but few are chosen. So if you guys are having these people open their eyes up and you're witnessing to them by telling them why you're doing it and why we're called to do it still and why it's applicable, you might not get very many, but if you can get one, if you can get
Yeah.
two, you know what I'm
One
saying?
family. Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah, and Passover seems to be the starting point for a lot of people.
I agree.
Like we at Ahava we do a big Passover Seder, community Seder for anybody and everybody who wants to come, and a lot of our friends have been interested in that and come to that just because they're interested. It piques their interest because maybe they just realized that, oh, the Last Supper was a Passover Seder.
Just now realizing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, let me look into that. I want to experience this or experience what he did at his last days and everything. And so they want to come to the Passover Seder, or maybe they've always been interested and they just want to try one. They've never been to one or something. So in some way, that has actually spoke to a lot of people and gotten them interested and foot in the door kind of thing. Just being able to do that, just being able to have a big crowd at Ahava where if you wanted to come experience it, just to experience it, usually that will open the door and plant that seed of now they're starting to question, okay, Jesus did this. Why did he do it?
Yeah.
Or how is it still applicable to us kind of thing? Start those questions, which eventually get them to realize, wait, we're still supposed to do this, it's not gone. It wasn't, done away with, it just because he came to fulfill the Torah doesn't mean he was getting rid of the Torah.
Yeah.
It's two totally different things.
He
I don't
didn't.
know.
He didn't complete it.
Yeah.
It's his portion of it.
Yeah.
The prophesied portion for his time on earth was completed,
Yeah.
but it's not completed until Revelation 21. When
Yeah.
the skies roll up and he comes and he judges us. That's when it's completed. So
Yeah. It's, Steve at Ahava was explaining this recently about kind of along the lines of how a lot of people see Jesus came to rebuke the Jews, the Jewish people, is how a lot of people and Christians see it as. So therefore, it's easier for them to put in their replacement theology, to believe in the replacement theology
Sure,
of,
sure.
the Jewish people were rebuked by Jesus. So they're no longer the chosen people. We're the chosen people because we're following what Jesus said, which really means we're following what Paul said to do,
Right.
or what we think Paul said to do.
What I think
Our
Paul was-
interpretation
Yeah,
of what Paul said
exactly.
to do.
Which
And,
Peter warned
you know,
us not
because
to
over
do.
the hundreds of years, or even the
Thousands,
past
yeah.
2,000 years, it's been twisted that way. And so,
To their own destruction.
yeah, and so therefore, it's a lot easier to get to the place of replacement theology and thinking that he was rebuking the Jewish people as a whole. It was, at that time, he was rebuking some, not all.
He was rebuking
He was
traditions,
rebuking
period.
the Sadducees and the Pharisees of the time.
And the priest, yep.
Because
Yeah,
because when they failed, when the Levitical priesthood that was set in place failed the people and began leading them astray, he had to step in order to take that priesthood and bring it back to the priesthood of Melchizedek
Yep.
and to the right direction.
That's right.
That's why it changed hands, or what they usually refer to as the priesthood changed hands to be taken over by Yeshua, because the Levitical priesthood led their people astray.
For the
He wasn't
fifth or sixth,
rebuking-
seventh time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He wasn't rebuking Judaism as a whole at that time, or Torah following as a whole. He was every time he talks about rebuking a person or rebuking somebody or a Jewish person in the New Testament, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. He is rebuking a Pharisee, a leader at that point.
Yep. He'd
Or a
tell the people, you
scribe,
should
or a
listen
Sadducee,
listen
or
to
a
what they're
priest.
telling you to do.
Exactly.
But don't do what they do. You know,
Right.
that's
Because
a
they
huge
add
thing.
to it, they made it
They,
burdensome.
they added a bunch of
Yeah,
silly
I
stuff that
agree.
was never there.
But that's because they got away from the spirit of the law. I mean, we hear that.
Justice, yeah.
Freedom.
Exactly. So it's they became the letter of the law more than the spirit of the law, and that's where it
Exactly.
had to go back to. But at the same time, he wasn't rebuking Torah in general at all.
No, matter of fact,
was
he
rebuking-
told them
was
not to
enforcing-
sin anymore,
Exactly.
to go back to what the Father said.
He was
What is
enforcing
sin?
the law. You know?
You can't. I mean,
Yes.
he's not telling them. I'm reestablishing what sin is.
I'm going to
These
change
things
Yeah.
are sin.
Yeah.
Now that
Only
I'm
that.
telling you.
But that's what they teach, Andrew.
yeah.
That has been our biggest twist of someone's brain when they're coming from the Christianity crowd.
Yeah.
That exact thought pattern is like, well,
Yeah.
what is sin?
Yep.
And they're just like, well, it's going against God. No. Biblically, what's the definition of sin?
Yeah.
And you have to show it to them. And they're just like, oh yeah, I guess okay, so yeah,
Yep.
it's going against the law. Okay, so now, what law is it? And just
Yeah.
try to
Yeah.
let them play down that for a minute and figure that out, and then they can either deny it at that point or not. But
Yeah.
you're 100% correct, or the whatever his name is,
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's correct. He wasn't. He
Yep.
didn't come and change anything.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a long journey,
Yeah.
but I'm
And we appreciate
happy
you
and
sharing
glad
it
that
with us
where
and
we
sharing it with our
ended
Yeah.
up.
subscribers
Yeah.
and anyone
No
else who
problem.
sees it.
Yeah.
And we love having your family here. I know your kids
Absolutely.
especially have been
Yeah.
a blessing for my children, because we
For
didn't,
sure.
you wanted your kids to have fellowship at least
Yeah.
with someone,
Yeah.
and we kind of went polar opposite of that. We cut them off from everything, so they haven't had fellowship.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it's been such a huge blessing. Not that you guys haven't been a blessing to us, because I love y'all a lot, but I can just see how it's brightened my kids, and I hope
for
that my
sure.
kids have,
Yeah.
have
Oh,
also
yeah.
helped with your children as well, because I know Adelaide was kind of struggling a minute because her friends were in the Sunday church and stuff, so I hope that our girls have helped as well. But we wish you, I don't say wish, we
That's a
hope
bad
for you
word.
we hope for you that the worship leading and stuff at Yahuah goes well, and we'll be just so excited every time that you come here, fellowship with us and our kids and everything.
Yeah, we
and
gotta
and the
get
new
you.
families
We gotta
that
get
we
you
have
doing the
coming
guitar
in.
here, man. We gotta double y'all up so you
Yeah.
can.
No,
So you can get tired of
that's what he's
driving
talking
to
about,
Little
the
Rock.
burnout.
No, it's fine.
different.
I'll give you a
It's
hand.
different.
It's fine. I'll do the clapping. You know.
I got a tambourine.
Yeah, we got a
Tambourine
I have
and
like
shakers.
five.
You,
little
know,
shaker.
so, you just gotta stay on beat. That's all I
I can do that. I can do that.
I can do that a majority of the time. I won't say I do it all the time.
We gotta stay focused. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Make
yeah.
a joyful
Yep.
noise. Who cares if it's on
It's-
beat? No, I'm
That's
just kidding.
true. He was in
And just like, I would care.
It's
No,
like, you will
it-
be on beat or you will not be on the stage. Like,
Yeah.
whoa. We don't have a stage here, Andrew.
It's fine. It's just the living
Yeah,
room.
we've seen that that's part of where we're supposed to be. You can't, definitely for Lydia, you can't keep her away from singing and now playing piano too and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
She's
so
taught herself piano
it's-
again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I don't know, everywhere we go, it's always been that we're part of worship in some way, shape, or form. So
Good.
it's
So that's Yahuah's
it's,
hand as
yeah,
you've gone
it-
along.
it's
Yeah.
it's always happened that way, and we've just stopped resisting it. Basically, after
Yeah.
a while, we're like, okay, if they ask us to do worship somewhere or something, then we will. Because
We're
that's what
asking
we're
you
called
right
to.
now.
I asked Lydia
It's
a
been
month
a
and a
year,
half
buddy.
ago.
It's
front
been
of
a year,
everybody.
okay?
She asked, listen, in defense, they asked us when they first started coming here, like, why we didn't do it or whatever. And we're like, oh, just because nobody really knows how. And they were like, well, we can do it. And then we were like, well, we don't really have the space because we had all our stuff everywhere because of what was going on in the house.
Sure,
So they've
sure.
kind of been
It's
waiting
a new
on
year.
us.
It's a new
Exactly.
You know, so.
year. Here, well, since Passover, it's a
Yeah.
new year. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not get off in
Yeah.
that.
But it's a new
Calendar,
Gregorian
calendar.
year,
Yeah,
but
yeah, whatever.
Maybe we'll start at the new.
It was about 14 days
Yeah.
before Passover. That's what,
But yeah, we've seen a lot of changes in people's lives over the years, and I mean, there's too many miracles and sparks in people's minds and seeds that we planted and fruit that's grown for us to question whether we're on the right path.
Yeah.
It's like there's too many things that justify us continuing to follow Torah and in the way that we believe it was supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And I mean, I
that's beautiful, Andrew.
wouldn't give it up for anything. And I hope
Amen
that
to that.
from our children, I can see it in our children, even when we were going to NLC BB and everything. I mean, it was still stuck with them. They never started questioning what we believe. They asked questions here and there,
Sure.
but majority of it was like, why do they believe this when the Torah says this? You know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And
Fair,
so-
legitimate questions.
Exactly. So it's like, and then
I'm sure
when their
some of it was like
friends-
their friends questioning
Oh yeah,
too.
and
you know?
they had no issues explaining what we believed and everything. So we definitely don't feel like we feel like they have learned and retained everything really well.
That's your
to
job,
where-
brother.
yeah,
You're
to
doing a
where
good job.
They're able to be that light also.
There you go.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
definitely.
As the dads, we have that burden on us. We got to make
Yep.
sure we give it to them.
Yep. So,
And I've seen it in their kids. You've done a good job.
Yeah. They're so cute. I love
Well, they're just good kids.
They are, man.
We've had some
They're
rough
the-
kids around here.
We have.
told you
They're
the
like the
stories.
best kids we've ever had
Your
here.
kids are respect. Well, I see how you do. You treat them like a dad's supposed to. Like,
Yeah.
hey man, what are you doing? You know.
Not that all the other kids were bad, but they literally are the best
but-
ones we've had
No, your
here so
kids
far.
are.
So.
You can tell that you're
But we have
you're
new
doing a good
families
job.
coming in. We're excited for you to meet them in
Yeah,
person
yeah.
since we've had to have
Yeah.
our home shut down to be
Yep.
redone because we had pipes
It's a
bursting
whole
and
new
stuff.
group of kids. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
5
See, you
new
get
ones.
used to
wow.
a certain kind of kid. You know?
No, we haven't had a chance to get to know these kids much,
right.
you know. but
But our expectations are high. Okay?
yeah, you've set the bar.
Well,
you know.
to those kids, I'm sorry. Sorry for the high expectations. Sorry, not sorry though.
No,
Get
they
in
were
line.
sweet when
That's
they
right.
came. They've been one time before we had to just completely shut it off, and they were sweet
Yeah.
when they came. And so
They're
I
good
mean,
kids.
ranging from teen all the way down to little bitty,
Really?
like 1-year-old.
Yeah,
So
15 to 1, I believe.
Wow.
That's a big spread.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're excited for them, and hopeful that maybe some other people that have taken a break might come back. And
Be nice.
yeah, and
Talking to you, you know
glad
I'm talking
to
to you.
I'm glad to
Yeah.
glad to be able to see you in person again now that our home
Yeah,
is
I
open,
know,
and we're
right?
excited
Yeah,
for y'all to
it's been a
come
minute.
back,
it
man.
has been a long time.
It has
so.
been a minute. We have
Yep.
not been able to. It's been 2 months since we've been
guess
able
it's
to
been a
host
couple
it.
Yeah.
I've seen you since deer season. I just
Yeah.
realized
Yeah.
that.
So
For
that's
sure,
been
that was the last time.
3. Let's see here. That's
November
like
the
November,
9th.
December,
About that.
January. So 3.5 months since we've
we
really.
got some stuff to
It's been
we got a good year coming.
Yeah,
Yah is gonna do something wonderful this year,
we're excited.
or the whole world's gonna shut down. One of the
One
two.
or the other,
yeah.
which is still
I'm in.
something
You know,
good
just
because
let
that's
me know.
closer
You
to
know?
when he's coming. So
We saw a little bit of that shutdown this last week or so with this
the
heavy
chaos.
snow
It's a
and
little.
oh my gosh, it's like I had to I had to buy almond milk because there was none left.
I bought it
It
on
was
purpose.
ridiculous.
So I could have something
Andrew
to
It's
drink.
like-
tried to throw it out, and Jen's like, "We gotta get almond milk." You know?
Oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. It was almost as bad as COVID. It was.
It
It really
It
was.
really
And all it was
was.
a storm
People were
where
acting
people wouldn't
like-
be able to get out for a couple days. So
like we can't
like,
get out for
man,
2
if
days. Clear the
that's
stores.
if that panic sets in,
It's coming,
just
brother.
over a snowstorm, then and we saw some of it over COVID. Then
Always all
you can imagine how it's going to be
When it's real, yeah.
Yeah.
when it's really real.
That's why you gotta stay prayed up.
Yep.
I'm gonna pray all the
Yeah,
time.
And was that
Focus.
Mr. Bill, the neighbor said? He said, "Keep your powder dry, Bradley." And I was like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Bill.
What does that say? He says, "Stay frosty." Or
Stay frosty."
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyway, well, it's been. We appreciate you coming on
Oh, yeah.
and being so open and
No
and
problem.
sharing
I'm an
your
open
story.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a
I
good
don't
story
I
too.
don't mind answering questions or anything. I mean, even if you think it's going to be offensive, I was in the military. Nothing is offensive to me.
There you go.
Nothing.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah. So.
Well, that was
That was
fun.
a good one. Yeah.
That was a good one. That one. We got time.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Shall we sign off?
Yeah,
Say
signing off.
adios?
I don't know what our sign off's supposed to be, but
I don't know, but we're gonna wave at the camera
Thank you.
and say, "See you next time on the next video."
thank you.
Thou wast slain, he's forgiven, redeemed, and cleansed us of our sin, that we may live again in the kingdom, oh forever. We'll be singing, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb. 'Cause I've been washed by the blood of the risen Lamb. I will worship you, Yah, with all that I am. I give you my life, every breath I breathe. I'll never stop singing of your glory. I'm giving you the glory, for the Lamb of Yah is worthy. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. Thou wast slain, he's forgiven, redeemed, and cleansed us of our sin, that we may live again in the kingdom, oh forever. We'll be singing, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb. Thou wast slain, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb. 'Cause I've been washed by the blood of the risen Lamb. I will worship you, Yah, with all that I am. I give you my life, every breath I breathe. I'll never stop singing is the Lamb. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. Worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb that was slain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. We proclaim, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb that was slain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. We proclaim, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb that was slain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. We proclaim, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb that was slain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. We proclaim, yes, He is worthy, worthy, worthy. Yeshua is Lamb that was slain. Yes, He is worthy, holy, holy. Yeshua is Lamb. We proclaim, yes, He is worthy, worthy, worthy. Yeshua is Lamb that was slain. Yes, He is worthy, holy, holy. Yeshua is Lamb. Yes, He is worthy, worthy, worthy. Is the Lamb that was slain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. We proclaim, worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb that was slain. Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb. Oh, we proclaim He is worthy. Yeshua is worthy. Yes, He is worthy. Yeshua is worthy. Yeah. Yes, He is worthy. Yeshua is worthy. Yeah. Yes, He is worthy. Yeshua is worthy. 'Cause I've been washed by the blood of the risen Lamb. I will worship you, Yah, with all that I am. I give you my life, every breath I breathe. I'll never stop singing of your glory. I'm giving you the glory, for the Lamb of Yah is worthy.